Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Sportscast Podcast. As the English Football Leagues start to wrap up, we'll bring you the latest news and events from this weekend, a look at the Formula One Grand Prix from Miami, as well as touching on the snooker, the rugby sevens, and James has an interest in Would You Rather.
Evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Good, thank you. You?
Yeah, not so bad, Jordan. Yourself, Liam? You good?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Glad you both are.
Oh, good. Where should we start this week, gentlemen? Should we start with this week's football?
I think so, because it's been quite an important weekend, especially for myself.
Yes, it has been this week. This week is for football. Should we start with Champions League midweek?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit
Boring.
Yeah, I think that's the best way of putting it.
I think the best way to look at it, though, I always say, if you're going to have a bet, always low-scoring games in the first leg. They're a little bit tentative. They're a little bit kind of, we don't want to kind of go too far deep unless we kind of concede too many type thing. But then you've always got one team in the second leg. When we're talking the quarterfinals, semi-finals, final, well, not the finals, but when we're talking quarterfinals, semi-finals, you get teams of a really, really high caliber that can score goals playing at 110%, especially if they're behind. So I always find the second legs a heck of a lot more interesting. I think next week will be more interesting. But yeah, I agree. This week is boring.
Especially, Real Madrid going to playing at home and Munich going to Real Madrid. But just on that game, that was the first Champions League knockout game that both teams have scored a penalty.
Oh, really?
Is it? Really?
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting little thing.
You'd like to think over the years, and for as many years as it's been going, it would have happened already. But
yeah, as a knockout, yeah.
Although I do recall, I think Liam, you called Dortmund last week.
I did. Yeah, I did. I think they've got a bit of wind in the sails. I think they're playing really well with. Apparently, the standout player was Sancho, the Man United outcast. He was apparently the best player on the pitch. So,
yeah.
Well, correct. The standout player for me in that game was actually Jamie Carragher getting pissed in the stands with the fans. Did you see that? I mean, that was and the interview afterwards he done with Peter Schmeichel with Jude Bellingham was just outstanding. He was absolutely sloshed.
I didn't see that.
Oh, you want to have a look at it? Him and Peter Schmeichel interviewed Bellingham at the end of the game, and you can just see Carragher is absolutely sloshed. He's got his arms all over Bellingham. Like when you're in a pub and you're a bit pissed up, you're like, "Oh, I love you." He was very much like that. He was well on it. He'd had a great night, you could tell.
Yeah.
What's the German version of the FA Cup, or what's the Bundesliga version of the FA Cup?
I think it's just called the Bundesliga Cup. I don't think there's a...
No, isn't it like foosballs or something or other?
Won that?
Yeah.
They have won that?
No, Dortmund I haven't. Dortmund, sorry. I don't know.
Because I was watching a video the other day, and it was like Dortmund could be one of the very few teams to ever win a treble, because basically to obviously win a treble, you've got to win the Champions League, you've got to win the league of your domestic league, then you've also got to win.
Leverkusen are in the final. It's Leverkusen against FCK in the final.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Leverkusen.
Pokal Cup or something, isn't it? The DFB Pokal Cup or something.
So they can't win the treble then?
Who?
No, Dortmund. Can't.
No. If Leverkusen have already won the league.
Oh, Leverkusen. Doesn't matter. Ignore me.
I will.
Haven't Leverkusen won every single game they've played this year?
Well,
yes. Last week, though, didn't they score in the 96th minute to draw or something silly like that?
Yeah, they smashed Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1 today as well.
Did they?
Yeah.
Other big results. The big one for me yesterday, the Championship, obviously, final game of the season yesterday. Blackburn 3 points ahead of the drop. You had Birmingham winning, Plymouth winning. Sheffield Wednesday winning, and we were away to Leicester. So a Leicester goal would have effectively put us down. But
They
Sammy
didn't get it, did
Szmodic,
they?
the Golden Boot winner for the championship, 2 goals. Bosh, we've stayed up. Ipswich, back-to-back promotions.
That's phenomenal. And I didn't realise Ipswich haven't been in the Premier League for about 22 years.
Yeah, it's not felt. I mean,
It seems like only yesterday they were in Europe.
Well, for anyone out there, me and you used to go to Carrow Road as kids, and Ipswich are we remember the Brian Gunn. I mean, in those days, that game used to be on ITV.
Yeah.
I remember the Brian Gunn thing. Where he's gone to kick the ball, and that was the first proper bobble, weren't it? But
that molehill, yeah.
Yeah, mountain, not a molehill. You just don't see. I know Wrexham have done it out of Conference to League Two, but there's a little bit of ambiguity over that in the sense of there's no wage structure in the Conference, so you can pay what you want and you hope that you recover it in the League Two. But Ipswich to do it,
especially coming in the Championship as well.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly hard.
When you consider that Southampton went 20-something games unbeaten, Leeds came from the Premier League, kept a lot of the players because they weren't allowed to sell them, and they've finished above them teams. It's incredible.
Yes.
But your boys winning again.
Yeah, lovely little 3-0 win against Bournemouth. I mean, we're still only a point ahead of Man City, but Manchester City, who won 5-1 yesterday, with Erling Haaland getting 4 of those goals. I don't know if you saw his second goal, that header. How high that man jumped is unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's about 6 foot odd anyway, and by the time he jumped, he was probably a good 14 feet in the air. He was absolutely flying. But they're still a point behind Arsenal, but they do have a game in hand. That game in hand is against Spurs, I believe. So
a week Tuesday, yeah,
yeah,
and it's away. They're away to Fulham this weekend, and then the next game, and then away to Spurs. So
Spurs haven't had any good results of late. I mean, I think they've lost their last 3, haven't they? They lost.
Yeah.
They lost against Arsenal last Sunday. Then they lost against Chelsea midweek, 2-0. And they got absolutely smashed today as well. By Liverpool.
Sorry, what did you say happened last week? You just have to drop that in there, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Arsenal, they beat Tottenham 3-2 last week, and then Tottenham lost again on Wednesday, and then they lost again today. So yeah,
not looking good for them at the minute.
Nah.
The game today, I didn't catch much of it. I saw a bit of the second half, but the first half, the write-up of it, that it was a dramatic close encounter, and Liverpool were 4-0 down. They scored twice in 5 minutes and did nothing else. So they don't seem to be doing anything either in these games. They go down. They went 3-0 down to your guys. They went 4-0 down to. They're not scoring first in games.
No.
So I don't think it's panic stations yet. The 5th, they can't really get caught from Newcastle. They can't really chase Villa down. So,
Villa lost today, didn't they? Away at Brighton.
They did, but they're still 7 points clear of 5th place. I think Villa are going to make Champions League.
Yeah, there's only 2 games left, isn't there?
That'd be superb.
Yeah.
Which is what brings me back to my point about like Chelsea throwing it, or whoever we were talking about last week throwing it. You'd still want to battle because you're battling for 5th place and 4th place.
They're never doing it. Yeah, they're professional.
And Europa.
Yeah, there's absolutely no chance they'd look at doing that at all. This weekend is also Jordan's favourite F1 race of the season.
No, oh my God. I've not liked Miami since it was first kind of brought onto the calendar. I think it was 3 years ago, wasn't it, Miami?
Yeah. I think this is the 3rd, isn't it?
Yeah, I just don't like it. If we were to get rid of any of the American races, it would be this one. I really, really enjoyed Las Vegas. I enjoy the hype around it. It's a good track. It promotes overtaking. Circuit of the Americas in Texas, in Austin. Absolutely superb track. Arguably, in my opinion, one of the best Sector 1, Sector 1s or sectors on the entire calendar with the super high speed. I love the high speed sweeping corners.
More than Brazil. Downhill, curve downhill. I think it's just the nostalgia for me, but
yeah, no, I honestly think it's fantastic for fantastic sector. But Miami's shocking. Like Miami is just
everything around it. Everything around it's awful. The fake water in the middle with the yachts on it. People actually enjoying themselves on these boats that's just on concrete. All the celebrities that turn up there that don't have a monkey is what's going on. Everything around it's just Americanized.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely horrendous. Absolutely ridiculous. Would you like to play a small game? Would you like to play a short game?
Go on then.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the name of a product, and I'm going to tell you. You're going to guess how much the Hard Rock Stadium, which is the host kind of car park for the for the Miami Grand Prix. You're going to tell me how much they are charging for that single item. Are you ready?
James, do you want to answer first, James, or me answer first?
James is quite kind of green to the Formula One. But I mean, you go to Silverstone, you're probably paying £4 or £5 for a bottle of water or something like that. But Miami, anyway, bottle of water in the Hard Rock Stadium for the Miami Grand Prix in dollars.
In dollars, I am going to go $12.
$9.
25.
Yeah.
A Heineken, a 16-ounce Heineken. I don't know how big that is. I assume like one of the big pint, maybe even a big super-sized one.
No, it's a gallon, isn't it? It's like a 3/4 pint, 16-ounce.
So 16-ounce Heineken.
Well, I paid $9.50 in a Irish bar in New York for a Guinness. So it's got to be. I think water's 25. It's got to be 29.
James,
40.
$60, please, sir. Would you like to tip?
$60. That's about £45.
$60. Okay, we'll just skip on to. We'll do one more. We'll do some food. So I'm just going to read it straight from the menu. It says yellowfin tuna poke, which is ginger and soy glaze, spicy mayo, and crispy bacon. So I assume that's kind of like some kind of fish dish topped with some fancy nice stuff. How much would you say? Bearing in mind it's on the bites menu.
I'm going to hazard a guess based on the price of a pint of lager, $130.
No, 65.
No, James, $170.
Jesus wept.
Mm-hmm. Just in case you do want to add 1 ounce of caviar, it's actually, just in case you did want to add, it's actually $400. So that meal, that single bite would cost you $570 plus obviously your Heineken, which you're going to need to wash it down. So total $520
plus taxes.
And if you want a jersey, you're another $150.
Or you could watch it on the television for free with a bag of Doritos.
Sold.
What flavour?
Red.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board.
Actually, the action from the sprint. So moving away from the food, moving away from the stupid celebrities and the hype and da. The actual sprint was pretty decent. I mean, the track promotes overtaking. I'll be honest. I think that's probably why it is going to stay on the calendar because it's only been on there 3 years. But on an average, we get 48 overtakes a year on that track, or 48 overtakes per Grand Prix on the track. Verstappen obviously won the sprint, Leclerc second, Sainz third, Perez fourth, Norris fifth. The interesting one is Hülkenberg picked up like 200 penalties, which allowed his.
It makes. I think it's ended Ocon's penalty streak, hasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Ocon's has now finished, and now it's Hülkenberg's.
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. Although, interestingly, I don't know how many points you're allowed. Maybe it's 12, but he's now got 8 points on his super license, Hülkenberg.
I think is it not 15 over a rolling 2-year period?
Well, that's interesting because he's picked up 6 of them in the last 6 races. So he needs to kind of. I think Haas just send Hulkenberg out to cause mayhem when his teammate needs a hand.
Yeah. I did see a thing. Obviously, Lewis got a penalty, got a 20-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Now he's behind the safety car, so it was a bit like, how on earth is he speeding behind the safety car?
Which I don't think the regulations have been applied in a fair and consistent manner in that occasion. Because
I disagree.
Previously, when they've had speeding behind the safety car, it's a financial fine for the individual driver and not a sporting penalty.
But not in the pit lane. And they've rewritten a lot of the rules for this, not for this weekend, but prior to this weekend, where there was a rule that was written and they removed a word. And it changed the basically the whole thing you could get away with. It's not going to come to me. Brundle was talking about it, and it's not going to come to me.
Is it about the like if you go out over track limits on the last corner to do with Norris and what happened in China?
No, it's to do with touching the car, but you can't. Something to do with it being electrical, and they removed the word electrical, and as soon as they did that, it changed, a bit like Parc Ferme. It just changed the
actual. I heard Martin Brundle talking about it, and the actual FIA sporting regulations for Formula One are 110 pages long.
Yeah.
And he delved into them, and he's like, it's point number 30, Rule 37.1, subsection A, subsection 3B.
Yeah,
and you're like, this is crazy. Can we just go racing?
I think that's it. I think for me, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, it's too complicated.
Yeah, definitely. So,
what I did do today, James, was I introduced Jordan very briefly when he was at mine into the world of rugby sevens.
Oh, how did you find that, Jordan?
It's a bit crazy. It's a bit like playing rugby at school at break time. Like, you haven't got the structure, you haven't got like the professionalism, you haven't got the kind of the I suppose there is tactics to it, but it just seems like you need to be unbelievably good at stamina and sprinting, and you just need to be fucking an absolute lunatic because it just seems.
It reminds me of basketball. I'll score a try, you score a try. I'll score a try.
Yeah. You're right. It does.
I must admit that is one aspect of the game I'm not a big fan of, and that is rugby sevens for that reason.
Really?
It is very much it doesn't matter how skillful you are, what tactics you put into play, how you want to play the game. It is just a case of if you are absolutely fucking lightning, job done.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Yeah, but
I played sevens. Yeah, I did. I did play sevens, but I wasn't fucking lightning quick. I was just there.
You was a
brick wall.
You was a forward that played a centre. I was a scrum half. So for me, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's. I couldn't. I could sit down and watch the Rugby World Cup. I could watch the Six Nations quite comfortably. I could not watch a sevens competition.
Really? I watched it in Singapore this weekend, and although I've noticed they've switched to GB. Normally there's a Wales team, and on Ireland and England, but they went. There was there as a GB, and I really enjoy it. It is just mental, and Fiji are the number one team out there. Because they've got that pace with the power, it's just impossible to stop them.
Yeah, I mean, I do see it. It's a bit, for me, it's like 2020 cricket with test matches can go on for days, end in a draw, it's boring, it's shit. 2020, everyone's slogging it, it's exciting, it's good. It's the same in sevens with rugby. If you like watching people scoring tries, sevens is your sport, because it is, like you say, basketball. You get one, I get one. You get one, I get one.
Yeah. For
me, that's not what rugby is. But that's just
I think you sound like the people, the kind of like, and don't get me wrong, everybody has the original game, if that makes sense. And what I'm referring to is cricket. A lot of the old guys like really slow test cricket, including James. And then you've
Me,
got
I prefer Test cricket.
and then you got 2020 and the T20 overs and stuff like that. But then we've also got what's the
You've got your 100, didn't you?
Yeah, the 100. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got different versions of the same game that I think and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but in a world of short attention spans, getting shorter by the minute.
Yeah,
I think that it appeals, or they're trying to appeal to a younger audience. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you are, because thinking about it, we've currently got the snooker world final on at the minute with Kyron Wilson, who's is ranked. I think he's 12th in the world against Jack Jones qualifier, who's 44th in the world. They do a.
They don't do a fast game, don't they? Yeah.
They do a shootout, one frame, timed 10 minutes, 15 seconds a shot, and the shot clock goes down to 10 after 5 minutes. And the crowd are leery, every time they pot the blue, they start singing "I'm Blue," Dabba Dee, really loud, and you know, when a certain colour goes down, they boo everyone, and it's fast. And do you know what? Sean Murphy hit a 147 in it, and even though it's the short version of the game, it's the fast. He still didn't beat Ronnie's 5 minutes 20 odd seconds.
Wow.
But it is that is exciting if you're into your snooker. So maybe if you're into your cricket, that's why the T20 appeals as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I'm not into snooker, but I would like watching that quick game for that reason, like Jordan mentioned, the attention span of things. It's a quick, easy, fun version of what can be seen by a few as a very long, tedious, boring game.
Well, they played this afternoon. It was 7-1 to Wilson. They play tonight, 8 frames tonight. They play 8 frames tomorrow afternoon, and then another till the finish tomorrow night. So it's spread over 2 days. You can see why, but also, it is one of them. Not everyone's a fan, and they're never gonna, you're never gonna do it with football.
No.
Or anything like that. So I guess if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Well, that's a point. Maybe they should.
Although there is. You do see futsal. Is it futsal like
the
Brazilian kind of skill based
indoor? But it's so different. It's indoor.
It is so
fewer
different.
Players. It's not. It's not really a different. It's not really the same. If you like, they use a different size ball and everything else. Whereas at least the other stuff. The other sports, it's the same.
Maybe they should do that in football. Play the first half on a Saturday, and then on the Sunday, play the second half, but with a different team. Different 11.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they do like the Budweiser advert, and they bring in multi-ball.
Oh, multi-ball, great stuff.
Right. Well. Busy week ahead coming. We've got the start of the Giro d'Italia, so that'll keep going on for next week as well. We'll have the winner of the snooker. We are still 2 weeks away from the end of the Premier League season, but we'll know more on the playoffs, because the playoffs finals are going to be going on then as well. So there's quite a few. There's been a couple of championship ones, or League Two and League Ones, but the championship ones start towards the end of the week. So hopefully, Doncaster play on Friday night against Crewe. So
Can I just stop you there, Liam? Can I just ask the question, how on earth did Doncaster end up in the playoffs? At one point, they were, 2 points above the drop zone?
Yeah.
And then within 17, 18 games, they've done something and ended up in the playoffs.
They won 10 on the
Unbelievable.
bounce. They won 10 on the bounce.
It's just unbelievable.
I think it was 14 unbeaten, 10 on the bounce. Yeah,
which is actually a record since 1947. But they equalled the record since 1947, but they drew. I can't remember. They drew 2-2 last week, so that ended that. But even so,
Gillingham,
pretty decent. I think they've got a new manager, a new kind of peppy attitude, and why not?
Well,
Birmingham have gone the opposite way.
he had them. Grant McCann had him in the Championship a couple of years ago, and was he in Championship League One? Championship. No, sorry. They was in League One, and he left to go to Hull and got relegated back in, and Hull were in League One with him. So it was a bit. He's a very good manager. He's not a League Two manager. I can see Doncaster going up. I'll be honest.
Well, if they do, it'll be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you'll not see a bigger turnaround than what you saw with Birmingham this season.
That,
as George said. So, right, I will catch you next week.
Before we go, could I just ask you a would you rather question and just get your thoughts on it?
Go on.
Right, so would you rather sit in the front row for one game of your favourite team / sport, or go to 10 and have really bad seats? What would you rather do?
The first one. I'd rather sit on the front row.
Just for one game?
Yeah, because you have that experience. You keep your phone in your pocket. You live in the moment. Something that a lot of people don't do nowadays, which we could probably chat about next week, to be fair. But I'd rather have that experience, have the absolute best hospitality, night, mint, remember it forever, than have a bad experience 10 times.
I'm not saying it's a bad experience. I'm just saying they're bad seats.
Yeah, but kind of...
You might go watch that game and your team get obliterated.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that argument. I can see that. I'd go front seats.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'd go front seats.
Good question.
What would you do?
Me?
Yeah.
I would probably go front seat as well, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah, I would, yeah. I was kind of hoping someone would say the 10 games, but, you both shit on your tips there. So
yeah, we have. Yeah. See you next week.
All right, guys. See you next week.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sportscast podcast. As normal, you'll get us on our social media, Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, @SportscastPod UK. Join us again next week.